Hey everyone, welcome back to Hobby It. I'm Mike and today we're making a rocky outcrop for our battlefields. I grabbed some XPS foam and using my expert cartography skills, I sketched out a rough plan for the terrain. Next I started cutting with my handheld wire cutter. The foam I had was 2 cm thick and I wanted to reduce the height to 1 cm, so I chopped it into sections and halved them on the proxon. Next up, adding a slope to the grassy area. Let's be honest, everything looks better with a bit of a slope. Flat terrain is fine, but a little angle makes everything feel more natural. As I went, I checked the width of the path using a mini. Gotta make sure our warriors can actually walk across this thing. I wanted my rocky area to have multiple levels, something models could climb up and use to gain the high ground. So I broke down each foam piece and started stacking, foam on foam, until I got the height I wanted. Once I liked the shape, it was glue gun time, which sticks foam together amazingly well. Foam rocks on their own are a bit smooth, too perfect, so I grabbed some metal files and just went to town, gouging, scraping, chipping and sanding to give the surface that rugged rock texture. It was very satisfying. I suggest saving this job until you had a particularly bad day at work. After a quick tidy up of the foam shavings, I add some subtle variation to the base itself, nothing major, just hitting it with a real rock to bash in some dents and uneven spots. It's terrain, rough is good. I glued the rocky outcrop onto the base and it was starting to come together. To make the path feel worn down, I used a finer grit sand and blended it to the grassy area. For the edges of the path I wanted chunkier stones, so I brushed on some Podge and sprinkled coarse sand over those areas. Next came the paint. I started with a solid black undercoat, followed by a brush over with dark grey. While that was still wet, I blended in some brown across the grassy areas. It helps set a nice earthy tone for the static grass that will come later. Then came the magic, dry brushing. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I love this part. Using a big old makeup brush, I wiped most of the paint off and lightly brushed over the whole terrain. That hits the high spots and leaves the recesses nice and dark, really bringing the rocks to life. I dusted on some pigment powder to give the path, grass and rocks some more tonal variation. To lock in the pigments, I hit it with some matte varnish and immediately blew half of it away with the airbrush. Note to self, that might not be the best technique. If you know a better method, let me know in the comments. Seriously, help me out. Then I pulled out the static grass applicator and covered some of the grassy areas. And finished with some moss in the crevices of the rocks. The path still felt a little flat, so I experimented with different pigment shades, blended them together and sealed again. This time with much lower pressure. That helped a bit, but still not great. Now let's decorate. Grab some grass tufts and stick them down around the base for that finishing touch. And that's it, our rocky outcrop is complete and ready for battle. I love how it turned out. You can just picture some archers posted up here, loosing arrows down on waves of charging Urukai. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, happy modelling.